Hello, welcome to Cycling UK's Women's Festival of Cycling, Awesome Mountain Biking Women and How to Be One. I'm Gwenda, I'm Cycling UK's Engagement Officer in Wales, and I'm here hosting some awesome women who are mountain bikers. So Women's Festival of Cycling is all about celebrating women who ride bikes, who enable others to ride bikes, and do all sorts of different things to just widen the number of people who can ride bikes. And today we're talking about three awesome mountain bikers, about why they love riding off-road, and what they think can be done to help us encourage more women to give it a go. So I've got an admission to make. Despite loving riding off-road, I'm not a very good mountain biker. I don't like rocks. Steep descents scare me. But thanks to two of today's women, I've completed a couple of really challenging rides, including the Trans-Cambrian and torrential rain. So we will introduce those women. Now, first up is Polly. Polly runs mountain yoga breaks, and she says that her aim in life is to get the best out of people. And as long as she has enough food, she can pedal all day. So I really, really relate to this because for me, cycling, whether it's on road or off road, is about the cake and stuff like that. So hello, Polly, lovely to see you again. Do you want to just say a bit about yourself and what you do and what mountain yoga breaks is and does?
Yeah, so I'm based in Mid Wales, and I'm a mountain bike guide and a yoga teacher, and I run weekends which combine both of those things, because they're two things that I really love. So yeah, getting people into yoga and mountain biking. I also guide with Mountain Bike Wales doing the Trans-Cambrian.
Yeah.
Which we did quite a very wet one, didn't we, a few years ago?
We did. It was fantastic, though. It was brilliant.
So we do run quite a few women-only ones, which I guide on as a female guide, which is brilliant, and they are probably one of my favourite things to do, I think, throughout the year. So
yeah, fantastic. I'm sure we'll talk about that more. I'm sure people have loads of questions about that. Thank you, Polly. Next up, we have Ally. So Ally has done loads to open up the sport to a more diverse audience. She continued to coach and ride throughout her pregnancy, and with a trailer, she had Finn on the back, and Finn's now 5, is he, Ally? And he's whizzing around on trails by himself. So thank you very much for joining us. And do you want to just say a bit about you and what you do and stuff?
Well, so I owner of Camel Coaching, especially mountain bike skills coaching. Also trail inspections and trail maintenance courses, which is quite rare for a female to do. And also being involved with CTC, which is now Cycling UK, with our education team, running trail leader stuff and things like that. So yeah, that's the kind of the camp coaching side. And also I'm a co-organizer of Sisters Ascend mountain bike festival. So that's all my work kind of background. Yeah, so I love being outdoors, and mountain biking lets me do that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ally.
Cool.
Right, next up we have Hannah. Hannah is a writer with Singletrack, and Hannah shares my belief that bikes can change the world. And a lot of people give us funny looks when we say this, but Hannah says that enabling more people to ride bikes is a matter of social justice and equality. And Hannah's told us that she feels mountain biking gives us more freedom, more adventure, and further horizons than any other type of riding. So hello, Hannah, and thank you for joining us. And do you just want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think I'm kind of a late convert, perhaps, to mountain biking. I've always ridden bikes as transport. So 5 years ago, I was lucky enough to start working for Singletrack, actually as an organizer, because professionally I'm a project manager by trade. And I used to work in the public sector doing lots of policy work, including equality work. So I've kind of brought all of that with me to Singletrack, where I've ended up being a writer as well. And so we have a website and an actual printed magazine, which is quite rare these days. And yeah, I get to talk about all the things that I think is great about bikes generally, and especially mountain biking, through Singletrack. So I feel very lucky to have a sort of hobby as a job. Yeah,
that's brilliant. And thank you very much to Singletrack for giving a special offer to Cycling UK members for 50% off the first year at Singletrack, both print and digital. So you can get to read Hannah half price. So yeah, if you're a Cycling UK member, then yeah, we've got someone saying, Adele saying hello, Hannah.
Oh, is that Adele who sometimes writes for us as well? Yeah,
I don't know, it might be.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Adele Mitchell. Yes.
Yeah.
We do have, I think, quite unusually, it's a very small team, but there's me as a staffer, as a female staffer, and there's also our designer, and she also writes for us too, reviewing bikes and products. So we have like a 50% female staffer in Singletrack, which is kind of unusual for the bike industry.
That sounds just that sounds really unusual to me, just from how. Do you think that changes how women are portrayed in Singletrack?
Well, it certainly makes it a lot easier to have more women in the imagery, because you've just got women in the office sitting there who can go and ride a bike for one of the bike tests. So it makes it easier to do, but also it's something that I've kind of consciously pursued.
Yeah.
You know, we've got more women writing stories. We kind of look at the balance of how many stories are going to be in the magazine and like how many of those are actually female voices. So it's been a conscious thing, but yeah, it's something that's so much easier to do when you've just got a woman sitting there behind a desk that can go and get on a bike.
Yeah, and I think this is what I'd like to get from this as well. It's like the fact that the three of you are there doing stuff. It's like, because we can't be what we can't see, as the people say, don't we? You know, it's like seeing someone's just commented, Ally, on the trail maintenance, and it's just like, it's so great to see like women involved in trail maintenance, because that's you know, not a common thing, is it? It's often seen as a male domain. So right. Oh, so I'm new to this, but you can get all the comments up on the screen. It's really clever, isn't it? So we're going to do some questions now. Right, we'll start with an easy one. So start, Polly. What do you most love about mountain biking?
That's quite an easy question.
It's not. It's one of those. It's not as easy as.
Well, maybe. I love being outdoors. I like kind of getting away from crowds of people. So, I mean, my kind of preferred mountain biking is more kind of wild stuff.
Yeah.
I love that feeling of exploration, of just kind of finding new trails. I love the feeling of freedom that you get from being out on the hills. And I kind of like the way it brings people together as well. So when we're guiding, we meet so many different people from different walks of life, and there's a kind of commonality between us all, and we just, I don't know, we all find ways of relating with each other, which I think is also really nice.
Yeah.
Just the way it can bring people together so much.
I've definitely experienced that because I've been on 2 of your weekends, and people I've only met once there, you know, they're still friends, and it is quite special, isn't it? It's I feel I know some of them you know, really well, and you've just had that one shared experience. As Julie pointed out, you know, it was more like snorkeling one of our rides, wasn't it? It was very funny. What about you, Ally? Why do you love riding?
There's tons.
That's fine.
I like, as I said before, I love being outdoors. It enables me to get to places like waterfalls or other places that would just take a bit longer to walk from. I love the fact that here I live down in Avon, I can just ride straight out from the house as well, which is very lucky. And just the thrill it gives, you know, I love the thrill that it gives when you're going downhill and doing tricky sections, and you might not get it first time, but if you keep having a go at it, you'll get it, and then that gives you such a good feeling when you do. So yeah, just all that kind of.
Cool. Hannah, over to you.
Oh, crikey. What is there left to add after that? And yeah, I think mountain biking is an opportunity to feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to play, which you don't always get as an adult. You don't have to do it for the purpose of exercise and fitness. That's kind of a byproduct. And the sort of social side of it and that community that you find yourself part of. I mean, mountain biking has really changed my life, and I think that that's something that I see a lot of people find when they start mountain biking. So yeah, I'd echo everything that's been said before, but it's for me, it's about fun. Some people, it might be about the pedaling and the how far can you push yourself and that kind of thing. And yes, there's elements of that in that for me, but really, yeah, it's about being a big kid.
It is the most fun form of cycling, isn't it? I don't laugh as much, usually because I fall off or do something stupid, but it is fun, and it's it's very, very different, I think, to other types of cycling. So do you think we've obviously, I live in Cardiff, and the roads have been quieter. It's generally we've been going from home. So do you think that's affected the way people have cycled? I know I've been going out from my door, and I've been finding some local places that I can ride my mountain bike that I didn't even know existed. So, and I wondered, have you seen changes? I'm not sure, Hannah, where do you live? Do you live rurally or?
Yeah, so I'm in West Yorkshire, and we're really lucky. We've got a massive bridleway network around us. I can ride out the back of my house. In fact, I rarely ride at a trail centre, because why would I get in the car to drive to get to a trail centre to ride my bike? So yeah, I'm very lucky on that front. Yeah.
Cool. Ally, I think you said. Oh, sorry, Hannah.
Well, I just think that the sort of lockdown and having to exercise from your door has made us all appreciate a little bit more what we have got on our doorstep, and maybe discover some stuff that we'd forgotten was there, or didn't know was there at all. Yeah. Yeah,
no, definitely. Cheers, Hannah. So yeah, Ally, I think you were saying that you'd seen more like women out with the kids and stuff during lockdown.
Yeah, I just think I live in a village, but right next to the Avon trails, and definitely through the village there's been a lot more mums kind of confidence to take the kids out because the roads are quieter.
Yeah.
So with the whole lockdown thing, it's I think enabled people to have the confidence to take their kids out or go out on the roads to link to get to the forest roads. Just because it's safer. When it opened, noticed already that the roads are getting busier, cars are speeding again. So I hope that we still see those families and out and about. It's like and have that confidence. So.
Yeah, we need to look at what we can do, isn't it, to capture that and to keep people. Have you seen any difference, Polly, up where you are?
We've seen a lot more people on bikes on the road, really, not really off road, but yeah, just around the lanes and stuff. People you've never seen before. Yeah, same as Ally, people with kids and families going out together, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it felt really good, didn't it? It's and it's still, we've still got some of it, and it's it's quite exciting times, I think, for cycling.
Yeah, so carries on. Like Ali said, the roads are starting to get busy again, and that just immediately puts people off. But maybe if they've discovered that they love cycling, maybe then now the trail centres have opened up and things are a bit more easy. Maybe people will continue in towards that kind of riding. Hopefully.
Yeah. And maybe looking at, because I think what Hannah and Ally have pointed out is it's how people get to the trail centres. It's quite important, isn't it, as well? It's or how you get to where you ride, whether you, if you don't want to go to trail centre, if you just want to go, but we don't know where to ride, we don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And that's part of, we were talking about our Trails for Wales campaign in Wales. So I don't know, if you cycle, Scotland is just amazing because it's open access.
Yeah.
And you can cycle anywhere. So in Wales, we've got Welsh Government are committed to opening up some of the countryside to enable cycling on more of our right-of-way network, because currently I think it's about 20% that we can ride. So do you think that would make a difference? Do you think that, does that, impact on your daily lives in any way, Polly? When you're like out sorting out rides and stuff like that, do you notice any gaps in the network? Think, oh, that would be good if we could ride there, and things like that.
I mean, a lot of the places that we guide are quite well served for bridle paths that we can ride on. But yeah, sure, I think on a more local level, there's a lot of stuff around here that would be ideal for families to ride and for people to ride, that are footpaths at the moment, and they're not well-worn footpaths, so they're not. It wouldn't seem to be such a problem for people to ride them, but they're not allowed to ride them. So I think it's one part of the problem of people not wanting to ride on the roads and not wanting to drive to trail centres as well, because it is sometimes it's quite unnecessary kind of journey, and time takes time. So just to see a bit more opened up would be, I think, really valuable for the Welsh cycling life and economy as well.
Cool. So Hannah, what do you think about someone who doesn't live in Wales? I know there's talk also in England about opening up access and things. So is it something that, I mean, if you've got a good bridleway network, maybe it's not so important, but it's quite often it's those little links, isn't it? The missing bits.
Yes, and there are all sorts of strange missing bits as well, where a bridleway just stops being a bridleway and turns into a footpath, and that's really frustrating. And certainly from a professional point of view, we don't publish any stories or photos that are on rides that aren't legal. And we could fill a magazine with Scotland month after month. But in England we can't, because there's such a shortage of trails. And in Wales there's lots of trail centres, but then again there's plenty more that it would be great to be able to go and ride and talk about as features.
Ali, you're quite a good location where you are, aren't you? So but have you got any missing link sort of thing that
there's still missing links. You've got bridleways that just turn into footpaths, and you're not supposed to even carry your bike on a footpath. So I've heard that one.
That's something we've always argued with the Ramblers about.
It's a weird one, isn't it? So to be able to just allow to carry your bike whilst you're walking on, just to do that link, or just to have it opened up. Some of the footpaths are wide enough to allow people, because they were, they might have been bridleways and then it's been taken away. There's all sorts there, isn't there? But,
I think that it would add to the sense of freedom and exploration as well, because if you don't know what the path on the ground is in front of you, and then you run into a walker that says, oh, this is a footpath and you shouldn't be here, that's quite discouraging as a new rider. You don't feel confident that, oh, well, I'm very sorry, I didn't know I shouldn't be here, or whatever. If you have the right to roam, as you do in Scotland, then you don't have that. You can just kind of, oh, where does that go? And does that link up to my house? And I think that would give you a bit more confidence, particularly if you're out on your own, to just sort of explore a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. We got a question here from Ros Hart asking whether in Scotland is there any conflict between walkers and mountain bikers. And I've been cycling around off-road with the Rough Stuff Fellowship, who were the original off-roaders. So they're a fab bunch of people. Around Peebles, and encountered absolutely none at all. And from what I understand, the whole accessing Scotland, there's a very, very good code of responsible access, and I can't remember what it's called now, but and I think having that dialogue between people who are using the outdoors to create that common understanding of how we use our network is really important. So have you got any thoughts on that, Hannah?
Well, also just to add that the Scottish government has actually recognised the economic benefit that's to be had from mountain biking and cycling, and they've got Developing Mountain Biking in Scotland is a government-funded body that's there to do things like help build new trails, facilitate conversations between communities about which trails mountain bikers should be focused on, and also just to promote Scotland as a mountain biking destination. And there's a massive kind of economic evidence base being developed there, which potentially is really good for other parts of the world that don't have a government that's recognised the natural resource they've got there that they could potentially use to the good of the country.
Mm.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic, doesn't it? It's one to lobby for. So, yeah, I hadn't realised the level of support in Scotland for that.
They've had masses of with I don't know if you've they've built some pump tracks, I think some around Clydebank Way, where they've noticed after building it that the crime level of what kids were doing went completely down. That's also a gateway, having, you know, even though it's like inner city villages, towns, you'd have them. It's also a gateway to kind of get kids, people of any age, doing, you know, a bit of, you know, that they're not just a straight track, they go up and down, and getting them into just being able to move around their bike. So when they do go onto the trails, then they've got a bit more experience and understanding. So, and I think it keeps that the younger age group. It'll help get them interested and keep them interested, and then they'll look up to what else can I do with my bike. So yeah.
Were you involved in the pump track at Nickerfilly Alley in the van one?
No, yeah, no.
Was that someone else?
Yeah.
Must be someone else, because I think they set one up there, didn't they? And again, that's a facility for kids who might be a bit disengaged. And again, you say it's the value from that for engaging young people in something where they can use the skills and experience. I think it's really valuable.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, Polly, sorry, you've got a business. You're running a business in Mid Wales, and so tourism and that whole thing to the economy is obviously something that is important to you.
Yeah. I mean, Wales has got MB Wales, which is the kind of Visit Wales arm of mountain biking side, which they do quite a lot of stuff to promote, but there isn't any money going into it.
It's a lot of comms, isn't it? It's
sort of self-sufficient little pocket.
Yeah.
And we've been really trying to get the road cycling in this part of Wales kind of promoted as well, because that's also a huge potential kind of tourism draw.
Yeah.
For this area of Wales, and we've just got some of the best road riding here.
Yeah.
Something that we've been looking at trying to get funding to kind of promote that as well, but there's not much out there.
There's not, is there?
And it's what governments and councils what they want to support sometimes isn't really those kind of things.
Yeah, I think we need to carry on making the case for the economic, because we know the economic benefit.
Yeah.
And I think just sometimes the message isn't coming across, and maybe now is the time to do it, because people aren't going to be flying abroad. People are going to be staying at home, and people are, they are getting re-engaged with cycling. So maybe now is an opportunity to do this stuff. Thank you. Right, I've got to. Right. So, what one bit of advice, Ally, would you give to women in Wales who wanted to start out in mountain biking?
Kind of advice. It's about having fun. Don't take it too serious. Use, as Polly mentions, MB Wales if they want to look at where can they mountain bike. So there's a platform there. They can get an idea of if they want to go to a centre where they can follow markers. There's just getting out, finding forest tracks. You've got canals, all sorts that you can just get into biking to then it promotes then getting you out into the countryside. If you're riding with people, if you want to help promote your own skills, it's you don't need to go ride with the best rider. Someone just 4% better than you, it's hardly anything that'll help bring your riding on.
Okay, good tip.
So,
what about you, Polly? What would you say if you want to get into?
I would say, the first thing I would say is you don't need a really expensive bike.
Yeah.
So I think that can be a real barrier in the beginning, and I started on a really cheap little old hardtail that weighed a ton, but it was great and it did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
And then, so I think that just start with either the bike you've got or just get hold of anything that is vaguely workable and start there. And then once you get into it, build up, maybe then start to save up for just upgrade as you go. I would also say, if you really want to get into mountain biking and you feel, you don't know where to start, just get your friends to get into it with you as well. Because that's quite fun. I know, round here, when I started biking about 10 years ago, I sort of got a lot of my friends to kind of join in, and now they're all, and we all started on really rubbish bikes and slowly kind of got better.
Brilliant.
And then one more thing, that once you get going, if you can afford to, I would say go and get a half-day coaching or something with someone like Ally. I think that it's you can learn stuff as you go, and you can talk. People can give you tips, but having just a couple of hours even with someone just to really drill in some basics can really suddenly change the way you ride, and suddenly your confidence can go up. So,
yeah, a real confidence boost, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
Go on, Ally.
I think meant to say as well, there's different, if you're getting into mountain biking, there's different forums out there. So with Facebook, there's different women's groups. So you've got the MTB Chicks and Trails, MTB Divas, Dame Cycling Forest Dean. There's tons. Women's mountain biking in North Wales, tons. E-Bike Smile, tons of different platforms out there. Really super friendly.
Oh, cool.
Kind of help to put the arms around you, engage you, and go, come around with me, or whatever. So there's tons out there.
Well, that's good to know, yeah, because I think I don't know whether it's because I'm not as much part of that. I'm not aware of them as much. So it'd be good to look at how we can share, and make people more aware of what's there. Because there's always a bit of a feeling that there's more. It's easier to get into riding on the road because there are groups there that you see and stuff like that. So that's cool. What would be your one thing? How did you start, Hannah? You said you started.
So I started because I put some cyclocross tires on a hybrid bike and just went and rode off road. So I would say Polly and Ally have said all the stuff about getting into it in the first place and trying it out. The only other thing I'd say is if you're not having fun, you're probably doing it with the wrong person. So
good tip.
You should never be apologizing for not managing something or slowing them down or whatever. The person that you're out with should be riding to your level and riding to encourage you. And if you don't feel like that, find somebody else. And I think that's really important. There are lots of groups out there. Mountain biking is a lot less regulated and kind of organized than road cycling, which has clubs and outfits and rules and stuff, and so that can make it harder to kind of find your way into it and find a group of people. But social media has really kind of changed that, and Facebook in particular, there's lots of groups there. So you should find the group that is heading out to do the thing that you want to go and do. And I think quite often people or groups make the mistake of kind of, this is a beginner's ride, and it gradually evolves and everyone wants to go and do something really rad. And then the person that's turned up that the group is for in the first place feels really discouraged. So if you are experienced riders, then I think you should be making sure that if you're riding as a group and you're saying we're not going to leave anyone behind, that is really how you do, and you ride at the back with the person that's the slowest, rather than standing waiting for them at the gate, making them feel unwelcome. Yeah. So I saw somebody asking about wanting to get into mountain bike races and wanting to do it more competitively. So yeah, that kind of next level beyond just getting into it. I haven't done that many races, but I did really enjoy the Red Bull Fox Hunt, which is a downhill race, and that's all women. So that was a good atmosphere. And there's also the Hope Tech women's enduro, and that seems to be just an amazing event. I haven't done it. There's been something in the way of me doing it every year, but even the guys I've known that have gone to like watch have said it's such a great atmosphere. So I think if you go and do one of those events, then you will probably meet a whole bunch of other women who you'll be like, oh, we can connect on Facebook, and you're all riding together, and suddenly you found this whole new world of people to go and ride with and meet up with.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for that. Ali, have you got anything to say about racing?
It was a while ago.
But you've done a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, it's great. I did the Mega Avalanche, the Maxis out in Europe, and then back in the UK was when the Gravity Enduro races first started off. I was racing them, but I ended up deciding not to race because I put too much pressure on myself, and I decided that it wasn't fun anymore. I came out of it. Because I just, mountain biking's about fun for me, and I've got pressurized myself. But when I was doing it, before I started freaking out, I really, really enjoyed it. The UK Gravity Enduros was great because you end up, you get qualified into similar kind of people that ride with you. So when you're not obviously numbered up to whatever, and you end up going around. It's like a bit like rally circuits. With stages, and to get to that stage, you end up riding with the people you've qualified with and get to know them, and it's really, really good and nice. Very fun to chat with people as well. So that, for me, the UK Gravity Enduro kind of races, they're really good.
Cool. So. What about you, Polly?
Yeah, I've never really done racing. I'm not really massively competitive that way, but I have a couple of my friends actually that are my kind of age, kind of early 40s. They did the Welsh Enduro races the last couple of years, and they just entered them, and I think one of my friends ended up winning her category. And they did really well, and I think it was just quite a nice series. So I think there's quite a lot of those types of things around the country, isn't there?
Can you? Because I don't. So what is an enduro then? Because they have a Dovey enduro, don't they? So what's that? What are they? So, is that different?
Yeah. So the Dovey enduro isn't really strictly a race, apart from the fast people race it.
Yeah.
It's more of a ride, and you kind of get timed and you kind of thing. But I think the Welsh, I might be wrong because I don't really know that much about. But is it the Welsh kind of cross country type enduro series?
Oh yeah. That
is more of a race. So I think you get timed on certain sections, maybe a bit like the Gravity. I don't know. So
do you know, Hannah, Ali? Can you shed some light on this for?
So you get gravity races where you just race down a hill.
Yeah.
And you get cross-country races, which are generally laps. And then you get enduro races, which are kind of like the ride that a lot of us would go and do. You ride up and you ride down and you ride along, and then some sections of that will be timed. So you have to kind of recover between the time sections. And you might kind of let the red mist end on a steep descent or whatever. yeah, that's kind of how I would describe the differences between the three.
Oh, cool. That sounds good. Thank you.
Clear explanation.
Right, let's do this. So, have you got a favourite bit of gear that you want to share with the audience?
Well,
Ali, come on.
Okay.
What have you got? What are you going to share with us? What are they?
I've got those.
What are they?
What are they?
They're flats. I don't ride SPDs.
Okay.
And they're the Ion Scrub Amp shoes. So I really like a good shoe because it's, obviously pedal if you're riding flats. It's that platform, the connect that you have with the bike is really important. And a comfy shoe that dries quickly, well supported, but flexible to be able to move around as well. So yeah, those are.
Ali, why would you ride with flats rather than SPDs?
Because I started off riding flats,
Okay.
and I really enjoyed it. I think once I did a bike swap, and my friend had SPDs on her bike, so we luckily had the same shoe size. So it's the only time I've been with SPD shoe, but. Yeah, it's just on preference. A lot of people think they have to ride with SPDs, but if you don't get on with them, why put yourself through them? But yeah, I've always kind of ridden flats. I did a lot of kind of downhilling and kind of going to pump tracks and mess around and jump bikes and stuff. And I only thought once about going SPD when I was racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Julie works for Cycling UK with me, and she's one of our 100 women this year. And she came on the ride with it's one we did with you, Polly, wasn't it? In the wet one.
The wet one.
Yeah, and Julie said she stopped riding SPDs after that. I think we all had a swim in the river, didn't we?
I remember you being up to about a year at one point in the river.
It was so weird. But you take everyone through that river, don't you? Very few people make it through.
I think there was the other ride, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't the Trans-Cambrian, it was the Elan Valley one.
Yeah.
So what's your favourite bit of kit then, Polly?
Well, I'm a bit obsessed with merino wool.
Yeah.
I often ride, a lot of our rides are over the winter, and I get quite cold, so I basically live with this around my neck the whole winter. I rarely take it off. This is a Findra one actually, merino wool. And then under my helmet, this is a merino wool cap.
Oh.
So spends the whole winter in. Under my helmet, it's just like the best thing ever. And it keeps you.
That's got a peak on, hasn't it? That looks amazing.
It's so good. Those are my two favourite bits. But I'm just like, even probably midsummer, they might sneak into my backpack.
Yeah, just in case. Brilliant. What about you, Hannah?
So I've not brought any to show because I'm not overly fussy, but I would always ride in gloves. Yeah. I've ridden without gloves about 3 times, and every time I fell off and lacerated all my hands, which means you can't ride the next day, or it hurts to. So that's always my aim, is to be able to still ride the next day. And so my choices here have that in mind. So I've got some knee pads here. These are Fox Enduro Pro ones. And again, I very, very rarely ride without them, because even a minor kind of bash can end up, you topple off and you land on your knees. With these on, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, these particular ones are and they're comfortable to pedal in. So that's why I like those. So yeah, I would say to people to invest in some shoes, as Ali said. That would be my first thing, and some gloves, and then knee pads, because they help you ride again. Mountain biking, I would always wear a helmet. And this one, we were talking about enduro earlier. We joke about full enduro. So this one I like because it's a full face one. So when you are flying down a hill and you land on your face, you're less likely to need very expensive dental work because that's not free on the NHS. But this particular version, this is the Bell Super 3R, if I can get it all unclipped. Do my Transformer routine here.
It does look something like out of Star Wars, doesn't it?
Yeah, so now it is just a normal trail helmet for riding your bike.
Oh, wow.
Uphill, long hill, whatever. So I find this one really comfortable. And I actually got this after an off at Bike Park Wales, which I landed on my chin and was very, very lucky not to remove my teeth. Actually, I'm trying a bit harder here. I should look after myself more. So yeah, I like this because you can ride in this, and then when you get to the top of the hill, or you discover on a group ride that it's a little bit more gnarly than you were expecting, you can add that, and it doesn't take much to have it in your backpack. Am I allowed one more thing?
Go on then. Yeah.
So those are the things that keep me safe.
Yeah.
This is the thing that brings me joy. So it's a deployable bell. It's a timber bell. So ring it and nothing happens, and then you deploy it, and it's got a lovely little tinkle. So, you know, sheep, cows, or walkers on the trail, you can warn them that you're coming, and you don't need to do that sort of excuse me thing. And it's not quite so aggressive as like dinging a bell at them. You just deploy it and then you dingle your way down the descent, and it's a nice noise, so it makes me smile.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Thank you. Right, how are we doing for time? Oh, right. Oh, go right. Ally, one of the things that was going to happen this year, but as we know, everything has stopped, was your Sisters of Send weekend, which looked really, really amazing. So can you tell us a bit about it and, you know, what you're planning to do for next year? Because I know lots of us are really looking forward to being involved in it. So it'd be good to hear some more.
So I'm one of the organisers. There's two others, Emma and Jess, who are heavily into mountain biking as well. And basically, we want to promote women in mountain biking and give women a platform down in South Wales. We've seen there's nothing really happening down here, so that's why we're having it based at Avon. And just to make it accessible and fun, inclusive sports, you know, obviously physical and mental well-being, and to encourage women from all aspects of mountain biking, people that are who are new into it, to people that are, you know, have been mountain biking for ages. So, yeah. So with the setup, we are obviously going to have an event village, so promoting women who lead companies and with brands to come along and you know, obviously showcase what they've got, as well as other brands and demo bikes for people to have a go on. And then having a trail kind of crusade, kind of like a fun ride out, kind of like orange, a little bit like Orangey, but not quite, a bit more fun.
Oh, cool.
And obviously, we're thinking of a fancy dress 4-cross, kind of fun ratio, or just have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And have coaching throughout the weekend. So and probably a film show and free camping. And,
as I say, there's camping available and stuff.
Yeah, free camping and all sorts. So yeah, so we're just kind of getting it kind of after COVID. We've kind of gone
Yeah. Go on. I just think people are going to be so up for that sort of stuff, aren't they? Because again, it's like we're probably not going to be back to like whatever normal was. Even by, you know, next year, people are going to be looking at doing things closer to home, and I think stuff like this should be really, really good. Now, you know, again, we're talking about Welsh Government and getting them to realise the value of like cycling, mountain biking, off-road, and what the part it plays, just like that really wide contribution it makes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be, one to put in there. So you've already got a date for it, haven't you?
Yes, the 15th and 16th of May. So that's
cool.
Got in. So yeah, we're kind of very excited. We're going to start kind of ramping it up again soon as in our website and things on.
Yeah, we'll carry on talking about what we can do to like be involved and help with that. It's really good. And we've had lots of requests for the name of your bell, Hannah. So it's now up in the chat. So it's a timber bell. So people, I think I saw someone talking about using it like we have in cities and town. You have some conflict on shared paths. And it is that real thing, you know, people, do you say, excuse me? Do you ring your bell? It can be, you know, but this sort of like different level of bell ringing is quite nice, isn't it?
It's kind of passive, yeah. Apparently they work for bears as well. If you're
that's what they are. Yes, that's why I saw it. It's a bear bell, isn't it? Yeah. Fantastic. That's brilliant. So yeah, I think we've got the links to the website. If not, we'll share them, Ally. So and we'll definitely keep talking about that and how we can make it. So right. Polly's got something happening at the moment, which is so exciting. I can't believe I'm so excited about this. So,
No,
do you want to tell us what you're doing at the moment, Polly, and why you're stripping wallpaper? And
so myself and Phil, who's my partner, he runs Mountain Bike Wales, a guiding company. We've just purchased quite a large building in the middle of the Cambrian Mountains. I think it's on Route 8 actually.
It is, yeah.
And we are currently renovating it into a kind of group accommodation venue. It's a purpose-built outdoor centre, which was only built in the 90s. So it's already got a drying room. You know, it's kind of set up for outdoor groups. So we're renovating it with an eye for like really encouraging cyclists to come and use it, because it's right in the middle of tons of amazing road rides, gravel rides straight from the centre, mountain bike rides really close. It's quite close to Dovey Bike Park. It's going to be great. We're really excited, but we've got quite a big job ahead just to get it back up to being a functional place. But the views across the Cambrian Mountains are pretty nice. So, and
you're posting some of the stuff on Instagram, aren't you, about your progress? And I've seen some of the views on there, definitely.
Yeah, it's amazing. It kind of looks straight across towards Plinlimmon, which is the top of the Cambrian Mountains. So pretty cool. Yeah. So it'd be a perfect place also for a kind of bike festival in the future.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be well up for that, Polly. That'd be fantastic. Definitely. Cool. No, really looking forward to seeing how that develops. It's it's very exciting. It is a lovely part of the world. Did you say it's quiet, isn't it? And some I haven't ridden off road there, but I've done some road cycling and
roads are quiet. But there's a ton of gravel riding up here as well, which is also just so much fun. It's that kind of mix between off-road and road, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. So, Hannah, this is a sort of like a big question for you.
Okay.
So, do you think women's cycling is on the up? Do you think, numbers of women getting involved, women interested in mountain biking is increasing?
Yes, I think it is. I have seen women that are cycling seem to be increasing, and it's less of women's cycling, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I'm really lucky at Singletrack in that they've always let me just test all bikes rather than just women's bikes. And I think there has been a tendency to just put women on women's bikes, and for media outlets to only send women to women's bike launches. And so I think, yeah, I'm seeing more adverts for unisex bikes that use female riders. And yeah, more of the adverts that come in for the magazine have women in them. I think it's quite a big market potential out there, potential for growth. So brands need to try and tap into that. But so that side of things I think is good. And I think I've seen a lot more women being able to connect. I'm not sure whether there are necessarily more women doing mountain biking. It's just that they're actually easier to get hold of because they've got these big social media circles.
Okay.
They're not quite so isolated. They're able to form groups more easily and find other people. But I still see in the media side of things, there are very few female staffers. In the media, and if I go on a product launch, unless it's a women's bike product, like women's specific product, I will probably be the only woman there.
Really?
More often than not. So my kind of message to brands has been that they should ask for women to be sent on product launches, on unisex product launches, because my impression has been that women who want to buy bikes are interested in reading a product review that's been written by a woman, whereas the guys are not too bothered. They just want to hear about the product. And so for a bike brand that wants to market its products at women, as well as having women in their advertising imagery, if they actually get female reviewers, female media people out there on the bikes, then that's expanding their market potential as well, I think. And that's something that brands can do to kind of push that change through. And on all matters of diversity as well. It's not
Yeah. It's something that we as an organisation are working on because, unfortunately, we as Cycling UK, reflect the cycling world rather than the wider world of the country we live in. So that's something that we're working on as well, as to how we make, and it's like, because of the value we see in cycling, we obviously want everyone to be able to access that. So yeah, it's something we all have to work on, isn't it? So
yeah, I've come from a public sector background, working in the equalities field for quite a lot of that, and working at Singletrack, I feel like I've got employers that really get equality and diversity in a way that even some of my public sector managers didn't get. So I feel super fortunate to have that opportunity, and I've got a lot of editorial freedom as well. I try not to pigeonhole myself as writing about women's cycling all the time. But at the same time, I'm super lucky to have this platform where I can just kind of go about things. And I know that other female colleagues in the bike media industry don't have that freedom. And yeah, so that's possibly why I'm a bit ranty sometimes.
No, it's good. And I think that's what all of you bring. It's just like, you're women doing great things in cycling. You're not women doing great things in women's cycling. You're there doing stuff in cycling, mountain biking and stuff like that. And I think that's what's really important. So that's really cool.
While we're here, if anybody's watching this and that they think that they've got a story that they could tell, I still don't get as many pitches for stories from women as I do from guys. Cool. So you can always email your story idea to Singletrack, and you should be forthcoming. There's so many women out there that are having amazing adventures, and I think they're just a bit like, oh, I'm just having an amazing adventure, I don't need to whereas the guys are like, I must tell the world.
Come on now, that's an invitation to you two, Polly and Ally, isn't it? And the rest of it, if anyone's watching. So cool. Right. Okay. Hannah confessed to not having been riding in Wales much. So, Polly, if you were to take Hannah on a ride in Wales, where would you take her?
Oh, that's so hard. Where would I start? I'd probably
Somewhere really wet by the sounds of that ride.
I'd probably take you on a trip of the Elan Valley, kind of the best classic bits, which do involve rivers. Probably because it's like so quiet there, and the riding is really lovely, and there's loads of rivers to ride you through, which you might be used to where you are as well. So that would be one place I would start, I think, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, you called them sunken roads, didn't you, Polly? I'm not sure.
There is one section called the Sunken Road.
Yeah.
But, we're not far from Cadair Idris here, and that is kind of one of my favourite. If you want a big mountain day, like I would take Cadair over Snowdon probably, because you can ride it any time as well, and it's amazing. So probably would take you up there as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
What about you, Ally?
Right, send them to Polly. There's so Polly's on the kind of out and about. I'll say trail centres. Coed Llandegla is a really good one to start people off on. That's in North Wales. Down here, I have to say Avon is another really good centre. Loads of trail options. But there's as it's a really hard one to say what do you want out your riding, and there's tons out there. So yeah.
So Llandegla's got the best cakes, isn't it?
Oh yeah. they've got very good food there, cakes. Yeah. A good bike shop as well.
I did get to ride at Bike Park Wales once. In fact, they ran a Women's Day, which was really interesting because they did it as a day when it was still open to men as well, but women were kind of extra welcome that day. And I really liked that format because there were actually quite a lot of guys there who hadn't ridden there before, but felt more confident because they didn't feel like there was the same level of kind of testosterone in the air. So yeah, I really liked that day. And it was the first time I'd done, other than on a bike launch, an uplift day. And so I really like that for being able to work on your skills, because you can kind of session little sections, but still be feeling like you're making progress and like you're doing something. So yeah, I have been there.
Excellent. I think we were almost out of time, so I think it's just about time for me to wrap up. To thank everyone for taking part. Hannah, thank you for the offer from Singletrack. As we said, 50% for Cycling UK members. So I think having like female writers who ride and write about is so important to us. And so thank you. And I hope you get some more submissions from women now following this. And yeah, so I'd really recommend going on one of Polly's mountain bike and yoga breaks. And you make cakes as well, don't you, Polly? Cakes is a very big part of my riding. And yeah, really looking forward to checking out Stay Little when it opens. Yeah. And Ally, I said, yeah, Ally is just like fantastic in just, go and have some coaching with her. She is absolutely brilliant. And come and join us at Sisters of Send when it's on next year. And if you've got any questions about mountain biking, these women are obviously ones to get in touch with. So thank you, and thank you for watching. Women's Festival of Cycling is being run by Cycling UK and taking place for the rest of July. So there are lots of other webinars, which lots of tips and advice and conversations, and that is it. It's all on our website. And I think, Hannah's put the details up there. So thank you very much, and look forward to riding with you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.